'Cause at the end of the day, as a leader, you get exposed to HR, right? All the time. I think to me, it was surprised to really understand all the things that HR needs to do to make things happen. This is not just a global project that we're throwing at you. This has to be something that we need to get together. We have deployed projects, initiatives locally. Tell us what do we need to make this a successful project. This is gonna be the function that needs to anticipate the most. Because many things are changing. The ways of we are operating are changing. Our demography is changing. Expectations on new generations are changing. So I see HR as the one that is gonna tell the organization what needs to be changed in the next 5 years. So
Adoption rates of 90%, localized implementations with global standardized processes and technology, and the desire from the HR leadership team to do more. If these are your messages at the end of an HR transformation, you can call it a win for sure. However, of course, this is difficult to achieve and doesn't come by itself, but only through rigorous CI on the way to a transformed HR organization and strong leadership. Wouldn't we all like to be there and have achieved that? Well, we can if we learn the best practices from our peers and adapt them for our journey. Welcome to another Employee Experience Apps podcast from the Munich Podcast studio. Employee Experience Apps podcasts are about HR tech, employee experience, shared services, and other interesting topics around HR at the workplace. We have started a new season that we call From the Workbook of an HR Leader, where I'm talking to experienced colleagues in our field about their daily working day and how they are going about the various challenges they have to face each day. I'm a tireless believer that we can all be better if we learn from each other, but there are not many opportunities where you can actually do that. Yes, there are conferences, but how often can you attend one in a year? Yes, there are peer-to-peer connections, but how many do you manage to keep running? I'm a firm believer that we can all do a better job if we learn from each other. And so I have invited seasoned HR experts from various fields and companies to tell us about their workday and how they go about the challenges of today. Today, in the first episode of the season, I'm talking to Johnny Vega, Head of HR Transformation at Reckitt. Johnny and I go way back and have also managed one transformation jointly some 10 years back. In our conversation, I wanted to understand from Johnny how they managed to bring the transformation at Reckitt to such a big success, but also which challenges he faced and how he solved them. But let's stop talking about the conversation and dive right into it. Here's Johnny, Head of HR Transformation at Reckitt. Hello, Johnny. It's so nice to see you. It's so good to see you again. It has been a while since we have been in touch very close, but it's followed your way, and it's always interesting to talk to you. And I'm really excited to talk to you about today. How are you?
good. Very happy as well. It's been quite some time, but but also happy to talk to you and see what's out there now on your life. So it's good. This is good.
It is indeed good. Johnny, for the ones out there that don't know you, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Johnny? What is your background? What did you study? And how did you get into HR?
Sure. More than happy. So I'm Johnny Vega. I study actually business administration, and even though I studied that, my background is actually supply chain, where I spent almost 17 years doing
Wow.
different roles in supply chain, including planning, manufacturing, logistics. And then I start doing projects, which actually I think it was more like destiny, telling me that I needed to do this, because it started like something. I was like starting to get nominated in different projects,
Great.
and so I got involved, and then I started like understanding. Okay, this is how projects are being managed.
Yeah.
And because of leading and managing projects. I ended up in HR, leading different programs. One was about building a GVS for HR.
I remember
And
that one.
yeah, we did that together. And then now I've been leading the global HR transformation for Reckitt.
Fantastic.
And so, yeah, I'm not a HR per se, but my path has been through HR, which I have enjoyed a lot. It's a very nice function to work with,
Yeah.
and I have learned a lot. So that has been the journey so far.
There's no escape. There's no escape from
Yeah,
HR.
yeah.
Johnny,
At the
let
end of
me.
the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, HR is about people, right?
Yeah.
So every transformation, anything that we do in this organization is about people.
Yeah.
So it's good. It was good to be in the core of the organization for that matter,
Yeah.
right? To really
Yeah.
understand, how do we manage people, how we, change people, how we impact people, and so I think it has been a good experience to go through it.
And definitely you have been a good experience for HR and what you have done in HR. We'll talk about this in a bit in more detail. But one question, maybe you're already too long in HR to remember, but if you do, let me ask, what was the most surprising thing when you started with an HR project that you didn't think about HR before?
That's a good question, actually. Because at the end of the day, as a leader, you get exposed to HR, right, all the time. I think to
Yes.
me it was surprised to really understand all the things that HR needs to do to make things happen, right,
Yeah.
on an organization.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we as leader take all of that for granted very often. We don't understand, that HR at the end is moving so many things. Those are the guys that are really working hard to ensure a good employee experience, to ensure that people's life cycle is really happening right
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
good way. We respect.
Yeah.
So to me, all those level of details was, a surprise when I start getting into the HR world, because I knew it from a managerial, point
Yeah.
of view,
Yeah. Yeah.
not, into,
Not
the
from the
core.
engine room itself.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so to me was a surprise. It's like, oh my God, how do you do all that? I was not aware, so I think that was, a good surprise
Yeah.
to be honest.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, and it has led you to lead the HR transformation for Reckitt. And we have not, by coincidence, chosen this date, but really it was on purpose because you have just finished the HR transformation at Reckitt.
Yeah.
And it was a major HR transformation. Tell us a bit about it. How did you go about it? Which parts of the HR organization were involved? Was it people? Was it structure? Was it technology? Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it was a very challenging journey, but a very good one, because I Reckitt, this was the first time we were doing a global project in the function,
Wow.
where
Okay.
we needed to integrate the entire function,
Yeah.
to get it
Yeah.
deployed,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so that was, I think, a deal breaker for the function and for many people. So at the beginning, it was challenging for people to understand, what was the purpose,
Yeah. Yeah.
what are we aiming to
Mm.
do, what was the target that we were, looking after. And so it took some time for people to realize that, but I think because of our leaders, that helps a lot, through the journey. And I think that is a key component when you're trying to do any transformation. You have to have a very strong leader,
Yeah.
people who is gonna, tell, why that,
Yeah.
what are we doing this for, in a way that people can connect to it, and then can rely to it, and they can say, okay, yes, this it's not gonna be easy. I need to work more. I need to provide many details to the project team. But at the end of the day, they need to see that this is gonna bring value on what they do today and also to the organization. So I think leadership, at Reckitt was, it was great, and the way they built it and they, communicated, and the partnership, throughout the program. And in our CHRO, was very clear. This is a priority,
Yeah.
needs to happen, and we need to do it. And I
Great.
think when people hear that from the top,
Yes.
that helps a lot. And okay, you guys, we need to make that happen. So I think that's was hard at the beginning, but I think we got to a very, we built a very good momentum with, with an organization. And I would say that, even though this was a global project and we had, global, templates, processes that we want to deploy, we find a way where we could, that we could, I don't want to say customize, because that was not the case, but we localized. We localized not just in a way that is going to work for the business or for the country, but also we localized the way in how we got it implemented. And I was the one traveling and and selling the dream. And every time I was talking to the people on the ground, I was like, guys, this is not just a global project that we're throwing at you. It has to be something that we need to get together. You have deployed projects, initiatives locally. Tell us what do we need to make this a successful, project
for your country, for your region.
Exactly, because realities are different.
Amazing.
Ways of getting things implemented are different. Even cultural elements are different. So I think if you are able to bring that into the mix and making sure that you localize it in a way that people can get connected and they can understand, okay, what's in for me, I think that helps a lot in how to do this, right? So that was, the journey, and we transformed many things. We transformed the operating model. We created shared services. We created, global processes that are now are standardized and harmonized, globally. In our organizational design as well. So we cover, everything at once as part of the deployment. So it was a good journey.
Wow. I haven't heard, Johnny, before the specific way of localizing the implementation itself. That's a very interesting thing. Do you have an example of how you did this in one country versus the others? How to be more tangible for the listeners of what you mean with that?
Yeah, I think it's more about people related, right? So and culture, right? So at the beginning, I think we came when we did the pilot markets, we came very global.
Yeah.
And the first pilots didn't land as expected, right? It took us some time to stabilize. Then what we did is basically we start appointing people from the countries to support us, especially in change management and communication. Because then you can have the local flavor to it. And to be honest, initially we started this program with around 15 to 20 people, and we ended up touching around 300 people that helped in one way or the other to deploy.
Landed.
And that's how we did it. And then, they have different ways of, communicating in the region. So we said, use what you think that is going to work. They do the engagement activities in some countries, like in US, it was more like a lunch and learnings. In Asia, it was more about talking to leaders. So, those dynamics that are more people related in a way that you are, trying to, bring the change. I think that is the localization part that helps a lot to move things faster, because then the technical part is the technical part. So you are not able to change, design, configuration, build and deployment from the system perspective. What you can change in this implementations is the people's, part of it. So, in how you gonna connect to key stakeholders, how you gonna connect to people, how you gonna get a communicator, how you gonna motivate people, because all cultures gets motivated differently. So you need to understand that to really, to really land this nicely, but more importantly, to have a good adoption. Because at the end, this is not just about go live and and bye bye. It's about ensuring a good adoption. So when I to give an example, the first pilot, our adoption rate was very low. Like around 40s. Now, last week that we deployed the last one, which was Asia and Middle East and Africa.
Yeah.
Uh, our adoption rate is 90s in the 90s.
Wow.
Exactly,
That
which
is
means
turn.
exactly, and it's too soon to tell, but at least give you the sense that
Yeah.
we learn by waves,
Yeah.
and we every time we took learning from one to another to make sure that we
Yeah.
localize it in a way that is going to land better to the market.
Amazing.
So yes, that has been the journey.
That's great. That's great. And before talking a bit more in detail around how it now looks like, when you said that your CHO basically said that's a commodity. That's not a discussion if it's a discussion. Maybe when or how we implement it, but not if. What was the guiding direction for the transformation? Was it more about, hey, we need to create the same experience for our employees globally? We need to support a global business, or was it more cost related? What was the guiding direction? What was it that you wanted and needed to achieve in this transformation?
But I think everyone, in the function was clear that something needed to change,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because this the way that we were working was not sustainable. Having this fragmented way of
Yeah.
operate,
Yeah.
everyone managing their way, it was not sustainable, especially when it comes to try to bring technology, AI, you
Yeah.
name it, right? Because
Yes.
the base for that is standardization,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. Otherwise,
So
you can't use the system.
exactly, and then we have people in HR, even at the director level,
Mhm.
doing very tactical, no value add
Admin.
activities, right? Because someone needed to do it. So I guess
Yeah.
everyone was aware that something needed to change.
Mhm.
Now I think it was clear from the beginning that okay, guys, we're not gonna solve all the issues through this transformation. So
Mhm.
what we're gonna adjust is we're gonna standardize and we're gonna fix the core. And I think that was very clear because then you set expectations of
Yeah.
what's gonna be what we're gonna achieve out of it, right? Because yes, we're not gonna be able to solve all the issues that we have in function, but at least we're fixing the core,
Yeah.
which are the foundations for us
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
move fast.
Yeah.
And now I think we can move fast because believe me,
Yeah.
I see people within the function with new capabilities after this transformation. Now they know more about project management. Now they know more about change management, communication, how to deploy a program like this. So I think the speed of the change now is going to be faster because now people know, how to navigate through
Yeah.
these type of programs.
Yeah.
More importantly, now for the first time, we have people who was able to work with other people from other regions,
Yeah.
even other countries. So now
Yeah.
this network of
Mm.
program
Yeah.
within HR, I think is gonna
Brought
help
the
us
function closer together.
exactly to accelerate, right? To
Yeah.
accelerate potential new
Yeah.
technologies or um, additional services that we want to
Yeah.
migrate to shared service
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
now people know what is all this about, and I think that helps a lot.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Before going then into how it now looks like, maybe not everyone knows Racket, Johnny, and I forgot to ask in the beginning. Could you maybe share a few words about what Racket is as a company? What's the global footprint, employees, countries, so that we get a better impression of Racket?
Sure. So yes, Reckitt is a CPG company based here in the UK. We have presence, globally, and we have three businesses. One is hygiene, where we make brands like Lysol, Dettol, Harpic. Then we have a health division where we do Durex, we do Neurofen, uh, among others, Gaviscon. And then we have the nutrition side of it where we do baby formulas. And so we have the three divisions, and that's what's part of the complexity of this transformation
Yeah.
because we can manage those super, like
Separately.
silos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was the first program where we needed to
Go
take
across.
everything together, all the markets, buy businesses, and put it in the same operating model. So I think that was part of the challenge. And yes, we are 40,000 employees globally, and it's a a fast moving organization. So things happen very fast because of the product we do, because of the portfolio that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting company, to be honest.
Now, fantastic. And now that we understand how the company works, how did you model the HR organization to it? You said you have established shared services. How many shared services do you have? Is it your own shared service centers? Are you working with a partner? What's the structure?
Yeah, so we decided to have one global hub, captive. So it's our center that is located in Hyderabad, India, where we have the what we call the global processes, and then we
Yeah.
attend all the English speaking countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like US, UK,
Yeah.
you name it.
Yeah.
Then we had a hub in Warsaw, in Poland,
Uh-huh.
to support the European
Europe.
markets, especially when language requirement is needed for
Yeah.
legal and statutory requirements. And then one in Mexico City for Latin America. So that's the footprint that we decided to do. But the entire model was to really use India as the global
main
hub.
hub.
So the majority
Core hub,
of processes are sitting there now.
And what's the footprint in terms of services that you provide from the shared services? Probably like the basic HR administration is there. What else is there? Do you have payroll? How do you treat payroll? What is with recruiting? How is this structured for you?
So at this stage, we have employee lifecycle. We have a payroll, and then we have additional services like learning. We have live chat. So that's the initial scope. And I think
Quite
now
big.
we are looking for what else can be moved. Perhaps recruiting could be one. Employee relations could be another. So now that we have the base, and more importantly, that we have proved the concept of, hey guys, we can do this internally, we can do this at Reckitt, and we can provide services to the markets in this configuration, I think is going to open more doors on, okay, what about this process? What about that? Right? So, especially because, even though you come with a scope in these transformations, the reality is that we left many things behind in the markets, right? Because they were not part of, employee life cycle, but so those minor activities are still happening in the market. So I think that's the next opportunity is, what are those? And in those, what else we can simplify, eliminate, automate, or move to shared service. So that's the mapping that, I think we're going to do now in Transformation 2.0.
Yeah. So basically, you have now established successfully the foundation, not only for the new org structure and model, but also the foundation for what's next, which is continuous improvement.
Exactly.
Continuously evolving the center, evolving the services, making it better, making it more automated. So basically, the typical supply chain activity, right? Where you also always think about continuous improvement.
But I think this is not just a GVS activity. I think this is more about the leadership that we have in HR in this organization. I'm very happy and pleased and honored to work with them, honestly, because I think they got the concept. They support it, and now they are the ones who are saying, hey, what about this? What about that? So which is even better, right?
You have a pull. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So it's not the GVS organization trying to push. They are the ones saying, hey, what? Maybe why don't we think about this? What about that? So I think that's is telling me that
that's a massive success.
They want to stop the change. They believe it, and now they want to scale it. Right?
This is amazing, Johnny. What you achieved there is amazing. What from what I have experienced before, as well as have seen and talked to others before, that usually doesn't come right afterwards, right? It always takes some time for people to change, to adopt, but you already create this pull from the retained function. That's amazing. That's a great success.
Yeah, no, definitely. A lot of learnings, a lot of experiences that we went through, especially in a company who moves very fast. So I think that's the learning, right? Sometimes you're transforming and transforming and over transforming. So, how do you, do that in
Yeah.
a way
Yeah.
that people can manage everything
Yeah.
at the same time? And
Yeah.
that's Reiki. But I think in this particular organization, I'm very surprised on the agility of
Yeah.
people, their resilience to make things happen and to deliver. So I think a combination of people, good leadership, a good program, I think was able to really manage this
Yeah.
as expected, right? And don't get me wrong. We fail in many things. We made mistakes. We miss many other things. But I think the
It's
overall
about standing up again, getting up, and continuing to walk, right?
exactly. But I
Yeah.
think when I compared what we're doing versus what I did previously, I
Mm.
think we did a long way and faster, right?
Yeah.
It took other company 5 years to do
Yeah.
what we did in almost 2 years. So I
Yeah.
think
Amazing.
that tells you,
Yes.
the momentum that we have as an organization.
No, absolutely. And Johnny, if you don't mind, let me go a bit deeper in there. So you already started to talk about challenges, and what made it difficult, the speed, the company transformation. What were the main challenges you experienced across those 2 years that you ran the transformation?
I think it was about ensuring that this transformation needed to be a priority, not
Mhm.
just in the function, but also in the markets.
Mm.
Because that brings a big gap, right? Because
Yeah.
if this is just a HR, project, then
Yes.
for the markets is okay. What it means to me, right? So I
Yeah.
think the leaders in each region did a good job saying, guys, this is as
This is more
important
than
as the
HR. Mm.
ACP implementation that we're doing,
Mm.
as the commercial transformation that we're doing, the sales transformation, the supply chain transformation. So I think they were able to put this program on the table of priorities,
Yeah.
not only the global but also the regional
Yeah.
base. So I think at the beginning that was a challenge, and I
Mm.
think we
Overcome.
were able to
Yeah.
overcome that. I think the other one is about workload, right?
Uh-huh.
Is how manage this on top of everything. And to be honest, we did have some people that were dedicated 100% to the program.
Mm-hmm.
Many people needed to double hat. Many
Mm.
people, especially at the regions and the country level, right? So how to manage, how to navigate, this type of programs and transformation. We have having so many people that we're hiring. At
Mm.
the end of the day, you depend on those guys.
Mm.
So I think that was challenging at the beginning, but I think they bought it. They got engaged. They wanted to learn. So I think that's another thing. I think we position this on a way of you guys. This is not just about the company; it's about you,
Yeah. Yeah.
about what you're gonna learn, the new capabilities that you're gonna have, that is gonna help you to do anything on this organization or any other organization, to be
Mm.
honest, right? So I think when people start seeing that, saying,
Mm.
okay, yeah, I want to be part of it.
What's in it for
We
me?
have
There's
many
so much.
people,
Mm.
exactly. We have many people raising their hands saying, hey, I want to be part of it. So, and that's what you want, right? You
Yes.
want
Yes.
engagement
Yeah.
on that. And and we have that. Um, I think the other one is always the budget. It's hard to
Yeah.
estimate how much this type of
Yeah. Yeah.
implementation going to cost. Um, and so we struggle, and we sometimes we have money, sometimes we don't. So we needed to squeeze because it was a almost 3 years program. So
Mm.
how to
Mm.
plan 3 years on your budget is always
Mm.
challenging.
Mm.
And I think the last one it was about you know these customizations,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
right? Because then we needed when we went to the markets, they say, okay, I need this because it's business requirements, and then we ended up having a big of you know changes that they are looking or expecting us to do, and we needed to go back and
Mm.
say we're not going to do it.
Yes.
We're going to do just
Nice idea, but
what is needed, right? From
yeah.
legal
Yeah.
requirements.
Yeah.
So managing expectations, I think, was a challenge,
Yeah.
but I think they understood, and I think when we have some of these situations, our CHRO,
Yeah.
in their town halls,
Yeah.
remind people that, guys, this transformation is not about fixing everything, it's about fixing our core. And I think he repeated many, many times through this journey. And I think that helps people to understand that it's okay. Yes, I'm not going to get, everything, but I'm going to get something that is going to help me to do better what I do today.
Yeah. Very nice. We already talked about one of the main successes, I think, that is amazing to achieve, which is you just finish the transformation and you already have this pull like, hey, what else can we do? What else can we do? What other things from the transformation are you proud to have achieved?
I'm very proud of what yes, definitely, the entire model, operating model, the business components, super proud. But the part that connects me the most is about the people. It's seeing how people developed because of this program. In HR. Now, I see people looking about dashboards, Power BIs, KPIs, SLAs, which is not common on HR as a function. You can find it in supply chain, but not in HR.
Exactly.
Now we're talking about how to operationalize more processes, which is not a HR mindset. Now they have it. The change management. Even last week that I was in Dubai, they have this. They created this change network, to support the HR transformation. But it was not only HR people; they have people from finance, from planning, from all over the place. So, and I meet them, and they were the ones telling, "Hey, what else can I share to my organization? What else can I, explain people about, the model, this and that." So when you see that, you say, "Oh my God, this is worth it." All the effort behind is impacting not just the business but also the people. So that is the part that it makes me, the most proud about.
Fantastic. No, thank you. And I think this is amazing. This is truly something great to have achieved. Johnny, let's come back a bit to the structure. So you have the main shared services hub and so services station and two regional hubs. How does the rest of the HR organization look like? Do you have the more classic picture of there are then business partners and COEs, or what's the rest of the HR organization look like?
Yeah, just like that. So we're gonna have the services. We're gonna have COEs, and we have
business partners.
The business partners. And now obviously we have also some positions called employee experience, which is basically the middlemen that are looking at the entire ecosystem to make sure that everything is working as expected, or identifying, okay, this is not working from the process perspective, from the system perspective, from a people perspective, so we can keep things moving. Obviously the intent of this also was about the HRBPs. It was, how can we free up time
so that they can do the more strategic aspects.
Exactly. And I think now it's about, okay, now they have the time, what strategy really means to them, right? And on this organization where we change a lot and we have multiple the structurings, this and that, to me that's being strategic as well, right? So I'm supporting the business to go through different transformations. But I think is now how can we continue upskilling the HRBPs to become that strategic partner, and what strategic means for their business, right? Because perhaps the business in North America is different to Europe, to Australia, and so on and so forth. So
then you have the three different pillars, right? It's also different business model.
So I think that the evolution is like how that is strategic as a concept is clear. The how, I think, is the new evolution that we need to continue as an organization to really be the strategic partner that we want to be, right?
And this is a very interesting one, Johnny, because very often exactly the business partners are the forgotten ones in the transformation, right? You focus all your effort into the shared service because this is the new thing. You have often new locations, new people, so you need to train them, and this must work, right? So you really focus on them, but you hardly focus on the business partners. Let me ask then, what are some concrete examples of how you help the business partners be successful in their new roles? Is it specific trainings? Is it that you have infused new talent from outside that knows how to do it? How did you go about that?
First of all, I think we have very good people in
Mm-hmm.
general, right? So I think that helps a lot. Second is about so we before going there, one of the things that we did is
Yeah.
that after wave 1, 2, 3, we run an activity analysis to understand or to confirm if the model was working. Second, if the time that we said that the HR
The free
BPs
up.
were
Mm.
exactly was real or not,
Mm.
or what were the activities that were not they were stopping them to not to have this time, right? Because some of those are we miss it. How can we miss this particular activity as part of the transformation? So now we need to go back and design how to change it so they can have that time. Sometimes it's about, hey, you know what, you need to stop doing that because that is not part of the role anymore.
Yes.
So you need to understand that. But it's, to me, you can do trainings, you can, which we did. So after each of the waves, we do a HR boot camp where we define what's the the new reality in HR after transformation, so they can understand. But I think more importantly, it's about leadership expectations. Yeah, and that was back in January we have our HR conference, and they and our CHRO was very clear. This is what I expect from HRBPs now. And he said clearly, this is going to be an evolution, guys. But what the business
is standard
now is people planning. So we need to, be better in our people planning, and that's going to be our priority for this year after transformation. And we're going to be piloting the market that went already live in transformation on people planning, because that is something that we need. So I think is how you address that is giving the new priorities, giving them the more expectations on not on just sustain the HR business, but also how can you support more the business. So I think it's a leadership competency that you need to have, but also be clear of what you expect from them now.
Exactly.
If you don't do that, then they're gonna go back and do what they used to do. And I think they change it. The expectations are different. Now, how are we gonna get there? And if we hit gaps, then you have the trainings, right? And to close some of those gaps.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think this is something really interesting for many of the listeners. That's an interesting one. You also said, Johnny, that you changed technology. Where were you coming from in technology, and where are you now?
So our system of record is the same, so we didn't change it. We enhanced it.
Okay.
Which is SuccessFactors.
And was it global before as a system? Or okay.
It was global. So we enhanced it because it was a global system, yes, but it was managed, locally, let's say, right? In some of the operating models. So we standardized completely the the way that we operate in the system. Also, then we decided to go with ServiceNow as our ticketing system for the tour services. And also we're using it for our landing page when we go
portal.
to our portal. And and that's completely new now, because obviously now requires content, knowledge management, and other aspect that we didn't have in the past, because in the past those documents and that documentation was somewhere in the country, right? Or depending on someone that has been doing this for the last 20 years. All that knowledge now is back to our portal. And I think that was a big switch of how to do technology in HR. And now and also we decided to give access to some of our blue collars within the organization, so they can self-serve.
Fantastic.
And I think that's also how you bring capability. Technology capability on manufacturing, especially. So that's about it.
How did you make the core worker, the manufacturing worker space happen? Did you put like computers into the warehouses? Are you offering tablets, or is it like apps for their private phones? How are you enabling them to make use of the
Because
service?
that's a very good question, because honestly, we thought a lot about it. So
Yeah.
initially we thought about, hey, why don't we create, this very nice kiosk, or iPads, and
Yeah.
and we're new when it comes to giving access to our local,
Yeah.
populations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we decided is like, hey guys, you know what? Let's go, let's go back to basics, and
Yeah.
let's just put some computers, because we don't know how the people are going to react, that they're going to use it or no. And so we don't want to make a big investment
Yeah.
on something that
First
they're
try
not
it
gonna
out. Yeah.
exactly. So let's start with
Test and learn.
computers, and that's what
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Let's test it. Let's see how people are reacting, if they're getting into it or not. And with that, we make an assessment and say, oh, you know what, it's happening. The capability is coming, so we can do something nicer. But as of now, it's just computers that we decided to put in some of the manufacturing plants.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a good
It's about
approach.
that, right, Walker? It's
Yeah.
about keeping it simple and test it, and
Exactly.
it
Keeping
works.
simple and just start, right? Just have a starting point and see how it is accepted or not accepted, and then you make small pivots to get to where you want to get to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Fantastic. Johnny, thank you for talking about your transformation where you are today. I would like to jump a bit into the future now, right? When you think about the years to come, I mean, the years that are behind us, I think tons of things have happened, and it's amazing, the speed. Probably now the speed is still accelerating when it comes to HR and changes. And so with everything that you have seen and done so far, and then projecting this to the future, where do you see HR, either within Record or in more general, in 5 years? Where do you think we are? Are we on a similar trajectory? Are we a completely different function? Where do you see HR?
Well, I personally believe that this is going to be the function that needs to anticipate the most, because many things are changing. The ways of we are operating
Yeah.
are changing.
Yeah.
Our demography is changing. Expectations of new generations are changing. So I see HR as the one that is gonna tell the organization what needs to be changed in the next 5 years. So anticipation
Yeah.
and speed, I think, will be critical.
And a catalyst for the whole company.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the companies need to prepare,
Yeah.
and some of the preparation is gonna cost money and time.
Yeah.
So I think how to close that gap, I think, is what I see the function to evolve in helping the organization to move fast on these areas that are going to be critical to keep attracting talent, ensuring that people stay in the organizations,
Yes.
And to get the engagement and commitment from the new generations, right? So I think that's how I see HR. Is going to be a function that is going to be anticipating the future, like we do forecast in supply, right? So I think they need to start forecasting more what's going to be the people needs of the future, and bring them with tangible plans in the organization and how it needs to be deployed. So not just concepts of,
no, it needs
I
to
hear
be
about this, it's
actionable.
Exactly. Because if not, the companies are not going to be ready for the change.
What's coming? That's fantastic. Very interesting thought. I can actually relate to that, right? With all the changes that are happening in what you said, the generations, but also the workforce. They're getting older, they're getting smaller. And then the different asks and cultures and enablements. Yeah, if we in HR don't take care of that, I'm not sure who. And then suddenly every function, and with that the whole company, is not ready for it. So
because if you think about, what's next? AI, digitalization. Yes, you can have all the technology. If you don't have the right people sitting with the right skill set, with the right, energy, commitment, you're not going to make it. So
it's the right structure to be effective, right?
Exactly. So you learn some people all the time. So I think that's how I see the function now.
Yeah.
and then the most critical part is that some countries are going to be more advanced than others. So also, how do we learn from regions or countries that perhaps is going to be happening soon, and others what's going to be happening in 10 years?
And Johnny, on this one, a question to you. Which country, which region do you think will be the more advanced one that the others need to learn from? And which country/region do you think is the one that is the furthest behind on that change curve? What's your impression? And on purpose, let's not talk about racket. You might get into trouble. In general, what do you think?
I think it's about that's a good question. I think it is how people are getting exposed to technology, right? I think that those are going to be the ones that are going to change the most and faster. So that said, I think like North America, some countries in Europe, I think are going to be they're going to leapfrog this, and I think we need to learn it because there is a component of technology and new expectations on new generations. I think regions like China, ASEAN, Asia as a whole, I think they're going to have the technology, but the way they think, I think is not gonna be as fast as North America and Europe. That's my
Interesting. Thank you. You've touched already on one of my favorite topics, AI. What do you think about AI, and particularly generative AI? Do you think this is something that will truly transform the way we do work inside and outside HR, or is it just a hype? How do you see Gen AI?
Well, I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's going to take time. So I was, I took a training. What was it? 2020. I think it was during the pandemic with MIT. And I remember they said very clearly, guys, artificial intelligence. It was about artificial intelligence. This course that I was. And they said very clearly, this is going to happen, but it's not going to happen as fast as people think it will be. And this is happening now, right? So I think everyone had the expectation that by 2024 things would be flying 100% AI. It did not happen. So I think yes, it will be happening, but I think it's going to take some time. It's not as simple as just creating robots all over the place and make that happen. It's more than that. It's especially now that we're getting more sophisticated. So it's more about regulations. It's about laws. It's about countries. There are many things now that in this evolution that is required. And I don't even think that the governments are ready to go through all of those topics at once. So I think that's going to be the bottleneck. But it's going to happen. But if you ask me if in 2 years we're going to have everything in AI centric, I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. It takes a bit more than 2 years. Yeah, I agree. Excellent. Johnny, we have talked so much already. Let me come to the final question and not take too much more time of you. But it has been very interesting to discuss this with you. Let's come back to today. When the final question, what do you think about today? What is your biggest challenge that you're facing today? And how do you approach it?
Okay, well, today is about the future, actually. It's about the future. It's about, this planning. What do we want to do as an organization? What are the areas that we want to leapfrog? What are the areas that perhaps we don't? I think that is the part that we are still understanding. Especially now in consumer goods, because that's the other thing, right? So I think then you have different industries with different level of maturities or changes happening. But particular today in consumer goods, something needs to change, right? So because many companies are not growing as expected. Something needs to change, and we're seeing this now. Like companies are selling brands, other companies are buying. So I think we are going through this CPG's domino effect right now. So I think that's That's number one. And number two is with all that within CPGs, what's going to be the needs of the future, especially when it comes to, people with technology. So I
Yeah.
think that is the part that today we are still, mapping, understanding, to be able to have a good plan, for the next 5 years. We have some already, obviously, but I
Yeah.
think more than ever, we need to check and adjust every year because
Yeah.
things are happening very fast. So I
Yeah.
think organizations are needed to, check and adjust
Yeah.
because, things are changing and,
Yeah.
and you need to get adjusted to it. Right? So
Absolutely. I think this is very, very good and interesting final words. Johnny, thank you so much for spending the time and for your insights into the transformation at Reckitt. There's a
no,
lot in there that that I took for myself, and that is really interesting on how you went about it and where you are with your success. So thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day and week.
no, thank you, Volker. Thank you for the invitation. Really enjoy it.
Thank you.
See you.